Greetings, Sifters, and welcome to this week's edition of Ask Shane Anything, where you can literally ask me just about anything, as long as it's not too personal. Again, a big thanks to everybody who's pledging at $7 or more per month at patreon.com/sifted. Because of you guys, this show happens, and I appreciate you all very, very much. If you're a fan, maybe consider bumping up your pledge for a couple months for around December, or maybe donate at donate.sifted.net. I know a lot of people want to support us, but maybe they're not okay working with Patreon, or they don't want to go through some other website. If you go to donate.sifted.net, you can give us whatever you want. It takes every credit card, PayPal in like 180 countries. It's a good way to support us if you don't want to get caught up in a subscription service or whatever. I know everyone's different. So anyway, thanks for your support. We have great questions this week. Let's get to them. Our first question this week comes from one of Sifted's biggest supporters, and that is Kevin. Do you think Epic Games will ever make a new game, or is Fortnite the last game it will ever work on? That's a great question, Kevin. That's a really good question, actually. Here's the thing, though. I guess the answer is yes. Fortnite is probably going to be Epic's last game, but Fortnite is really just a part of Epic's bigger strategy. Remember the metaverse? This world we were all supposed to go live in with VR helmets on, and we'd interact with each other, and then we'd just go zap and go play a game if we want to, and then come back and interact with people. Remember all that stuff that Facebook and Meta had tried to force upon people? It has cost Meta literally billions and billions of dollars. Well, here's the thing. Epic was also one of the companies that was in on the metaverse, and it has actually followed through with a lot of its plans without losing billions of dollars. So here's what I'm saying, is that yeah, Fortnite may be the last title of a video game that is released by Epic, but that doesn't matter because Epic is still releasing games. It's just releasing them inside Fortnite. So yeah, Fortnite is like a platform now. It's not really a game per se. So think about it. Fortnite started as this tower defense style thing. It kind of stumbled upon, using the whole battle royale formula with its quirky graphics. Kids loved it, freaked out, international sensation or whatever. But Fortnite was just the beginning. Turning it into a battle royale shooter built the mass audience for Fortnite, and then Epic was able to capitalize on that audience. So the first thing it started doing was having concerts inside Fortnite, where it would just have like 10 million people show up to watch some weird pre-recorded video of some music artist. It really is crazy that celebrity is still such a big thing, but it is, and Epic realized that and capitalized on it. And now Fortnite is like a viable venue for concerts and events now. Truth be told, you could probably make more money doing stuff on Fortnite than you could doing a tour, because it doesn't rely on the people in that local geographic area to show up. People can show up from wherever. I mean, how many concerts can you think of that had 10 million people at them? I don't know if there's ever been. If you think back to like Live Aid and like those benefit concerts in the 80s and 90s, even they, like if they got like 1 million people, that was a big deal. Fortnite's doing 10 million. So imagine if you're a music artist and you're staring down the barrel of going on a tour, which you're probably going to do anyway. Fortnite's going to not keep you from touring. But you're going to go on a tour and you're like, man, I'll make, I don't know, a couple $100,000 from every show, but then we have to like set up, do the show, tear down, travel to the next town, or you could just go to a meeting in an office building somewhere with Epic and plan a concert in a couple hours that makes 10 times what you made off your real concert. It's a no-brainer. I wouldn't be surprised if eventually some of the artists that maybe start to get a little bit older and aren't interested in the whole grind of touring just start setting things up with Epic and Fortnite and are like, hey, like, we're too old, we don't want to tour anymore, but we'll do a couple concerts on Fortnite if we're willing to charge for them. So that was the first thing that Epic figured out with Fortnite, to be able to turn it into something different than just some multiplayer shooter that all the kids play. And then finally, this latest phase that we've seen is creating new games inside Fortnite. So there's Lego Fortnite, where you can go in this whole Lego land, and it is a little archaic. I don't know if you guys have noticed or not, but like when they create trailers for that stuff, they always have to put like a code, almost like a friend code that we used to have to deal with Nintendo. And in fact, we're still kind of dealing with it with Nintendo. But there's like these codes that they put on the screen. And you have to go and punch them in, and then it'll take you to that creation or whatever. It's not elegant, but they're still creating brand new games. They're just a part of the Fortnite suite. Don't forget that they also bought the studio that created Rocket League, and now they own Rocket League, but they also had the Rocket League people create a racing game inside Fortnite. And I don't think this is ever going to end. I think they are going to keep releasing content, new games inside Fortnite forever. So I guess to answer your question, will Epic ever create a new game? Probably not, but I think Epic's definition of what a new game is entirely different from what your impression of it is, and I think generally the overall audience. Okay, our next question comes from a first-time caller, long-time listener, Carrie Taylor. As a fellow middle-aged gamer looking to Twitch stream and create content on YouTube as a passion project, I found one of my biggest challenges is just keeping myself awake. I've often started live streams only to wind up nodding off. Meanwhile, I'll often see your Dinfire gamertag constantly popping onto Xbox Live, and I'm always in awe of not only how you manage to run Sifted practically all by yourself, but also how you manage to play so many games. How do you keep up your energy to play games and put out so much content? What is your secret? Okay, that is not a simple question to answer. I'm going to try to do my best and not drag it out for like 15 minutes. The first thing I would say is that when I started building Sifted, I built it so that I could run it by myself if I had to. I knew the writing was on the wall. I had worked at gaming websites for my entire career. I could see where the traffic was headed. I could see everyone was going to YouTube and social media. People had stopped coming to, say, game trailers through gametrailers.com. We were getting most of our audience through what we called side doors, which would mean like Twitter or Facebook or social media. They were finding our content in other ways and entering the website that way instead of just going, I like gametrailers.com and typing it in and going to the homepage. So the writing was on the wall. I knew that gaming websites were not going to continue on in the way that they had for a really long time. So I knew I had to create something different, one. And I knew that what I created, I had to make sure that I could future-proof it in case things did go south. And that's kind of what's happened, to be honest with you. So first of all, when I sat down with Brent and started building Sifted, and the admin for Sifted more importantly, every decision I made, I thought to myself, how can we make this more efficient? How can we set up the admin so that there's a lot less legwork involved? And so from the beginning, that's how I designed Sifted, the admin, the part that I work on that you guys never see, that I'm actually showing you guys right now and I don't show very often. And I'm only showing you parts of it. I'm not showing you like some of the more kind of creative parts of it. So anyway, I created Sifted from the beginning thinking that they may come to a point where I'm the only one working on it because things could get really bad. And I want to make sure that I can keep Sifted going by myself if I need to. And as time has gone on, unfortunately, I have needed to. So your observations are pretty accurate. Like, obviously, there are other people working with us, like Pactor and Matt Kyle, and we have some other people working behind the scenes here and there. But for the most part, it is just me doing a lot of the heavy lifting. All the pre-production for Game Face, which is a 3-hour show, I do all that. I produce Pactor Factor, 2 episodes of that. I produce this show. I'm very, very busy. I work really, really long hours, but if I had not designed Sifted in the way that I did, it would be gone by now. Because the other problem that we've had is not only has our Patreon gone down, but other ways that people support us, people have lost motivation to do it. So we get like half the money that we used to get from Twitch Prime, literally half. And we are getting that bigger amount from Twitch Prime in addition to our Patreon being higher. And also, as time has gone on, we had the hack earlier this year. And so we lost a lot of people who were on our old subscription system who weren't maybe necessarily engaging with Sifted still, or maybe they're not playing games anymore, but they were still supporting us financially because they wanted to support me. Well, what happened with the hack was a lot of people got kicked off of our old subscription system. Not everybody, but a lot of people did. And some of them may not even have realized it, other than noticing that now they're not getting that $4 deduction from their bank account. But a lot of people are wealthy, and they don't even notice $4 coming out of their bank account. But the problem is we lost a lot of those people, and they haven't come back because they weren't using Sifted. So we had a lot of people who were just like, I like Shane. I've known Shane for a long time. I just want to support him whether I use his website or not. We kind of lost all those people. And again, people aren't doing Twitch Prime like they used to. I don't know why. We bang that drum just as much as we always used to, but people just simply aren't doing it. And so eventually that leads to layoffs. We had to lay off some people that were working with us and working for us. We had editors who were editing Pack Factor. Now that's fallen on me. We had people who are curating. Now that's fallen on me. And what that does is it keeps me from being able to do other stuff that might grow SIFTD. So creating new shows, new ideas, new concepts, doing shorts the way we should be doing them, all that stuff is impossible because I am on a frickin' squirrel wheel. So the other way that this happens is that, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but it's because I've been doing this for a really long time and I'm good at it. Like when I curate, I don't need to research stuff. I just know it. So I don't have to worry about what I'm going to write in a blurb. It just comes out. I can type over 100 words per minute and I'm just a machine. I am a content machine. And it's just because I've been doing it so long that I'm just really, really good at it. I've figured out the fastest way to do everything at this point in this job. Creating content around video games, I will put myself against anybody as far as output and the quality of the output. But again, that's because I've been doing it for like 30 years. I better be good at it or I'd be an idiot at this point. So that's how it happens, man. I don't know if too many people could do what I'm doing, honestly. Even if they knew how to use the admin and all that other stuff, I don't know if they could do the job that I'm doing right now. But here's the thing, like, I've sacrificed my life. Like, one of the things that I always say is, ABP, always be playing. So you say you're always seeing me popping up on Xbox Live. I'm also always popping up on PSN and always popping up on Nintendo Switch Online because I am always playing games. I have to be. Every spare minute I have is spent playing games because I have to do Game Face or I have to talk about the games intelligently. So basically what I'm getting at is I have no life. That's how I do it. I work really long hours all week. And then on Saturday, it is literally, I get up at 7 in the morning and I play games all day. And then Sunday, right now it's football season. So I do give myself a couple hours to watch the Steeler game on Sunday usually. But I'm working on Sundays as well. And then Monday's a huge pre-production day for Game Face. And then Game Face on Tuesday and then off we go. So I guess the short answer is I built it to do this. 2, I'm really experienced and I've done it for a really long time. And 3, I have a work ethic of the gods. Okay, our last question for this week's episode comes from Bachby. It sounds like Sony has realized that it needs to refocus on high-quality single-player content that can have a second life in TV or film. While most studios are capable of releasing multiple projects per generation, who knows when Naughty Dog will be ready to show its next game? Are we looking at an even longer cross-gen cycle between PS5 and PS6? That's a great question, Bachby. And yeah, I think we are. I mean, I think we've seen it gradually happening over the last few generations. I don't think it's like this extreme thing. Now, I will say this. The transition from PS4 to PS5, definitely longer than I thought. Even seeing the trend that this was starting to happen where console cycles were lasting longer. So it is a trend, and I do see that trend continuing. And it may be even like way worse. Like where... like, they never stop making games for PS5. Because the other thing, too, is that, like, the PS5 is like a low-end gaming PC at this point. You're going to be able to scale games down to that PS5 for a really, really long time. So it could be a case where the PS5 sticks around for, like, 6 or 7 years of the PS6 life cycle. So, yes, I do think that the cycles are going to continue to be extended as time goes on. Now, your comments about PlayStation shifting its strategy, I didn't get that at all, man, from that. I know what you're referencing. You're referencing a recent financial report from the company. I didn't get that vibe at all. Like, I got the vibe of, like, we're going to keep throwing mud against the wall until one of these games as a service idea sticks. Now, obviously, that happened already with Helldivers 2. I mean, I think everybody can agree that that's a huge, huge game as a service hit. And even if you have one, that's a big deal. And PlayStation has seen that with Helldivers 2, so I would argue that the success of Helldivers 2 has probably convinced Sony to stay on this path. Now, to be fair, you're right. PlayStation did say, like, we're not abandoning our single-player stuff. There's added value to it because they become TV shows and film, and it expands out into pop culture. You're absolutely right. But he totally hedged the bet and said that, look, we're not going to stop doing this. Like, it's worth it to keep trying these live service games in hopes that you get 1 or 2 hits. Because if you do, look at Apex Legends right now, or look at Ultimate Team for Madden or EA Sports FC. Those are basically keeping EA afloat. those 3 service games because they generate like $1 billion of revenue every year, and it takes minimal work. You don't have to start from scratch and build this whole brand new game and build a huge team. The work just continues with people who know how to do the work. So, one, PlayStation is not bailing on the service games idea. Will it pull back a little bit? Maybe. Don't forget, it has like Fair Games in development right now. We got a trailer for that. We haven't seen it since. I mean, that whole team has been grinding now for a couple years. That game should be debuted pretty soon. I think the knee-jerk reaction is Concord was a disaster, so PlayStation's bailing. And then when you hear that report where they mention that, like, yeah, like, we're known for creating great single-player experiences, I think it's natural for the human brain to just jump to that conclusion. But again, if you dig into the statements that PlayStation made, it is absolutely not abandoning the live service game strategy at all. And I think the other problem is, and you point this out, it's like, PlayStation's biggest studios take way too long to make games. They just do. Like, we're due right now for the next Naughty Dog game. So, it was 4 years from Uncharted 4 to The Last of Us Part 2, and now it's been 4 years since The Last of Us Part 2. So, even as Naughty Dog, a studio that gets pretty much as much time as it wants, a 4-year development cycle is still pretty long. Now, you know, most rumors, and I think it's pretty accurate to say it's true, is that Naughty Dog, its next game is going to be a new IP. It's supposed to be a fantasy game. Awesome. I'm really excited for that. But that could extend the development a little bit because you're working with a whole brand new idea and new assets and new art and all that kind of stuff. You can't really reuse anything. You have to write new characters and all that kind of stuff, which is stuff you've already done with Uncharted and The Last of Us. So yes, this game could take a little bit longer, but it's still kind of due. Like, we should at least see the first trailer for that game here in the next, like, 6 months. Otherwise, it's like, what the hell's going on? And I think that's what Sony has realized, is sure, we're great at creating these single-player experiences that people remember and turn into hit TV shows on HBO or whatever, but ultimately, we don't have enough of them, and we probably never will, because it takes forever to create these games. Now, Insomniac is obviously the anomaly here. It manages to create games that are that great in like 2 or 3 years. So maybe PlayStation should be looking at the Insomniac model and replicating it instead of cutting its budgets and laying people off from Insomniac. So I feel like PlayStation right now is in a little bit of a flux. It doesn't know which way to go. It hasn't really had like a big original hit. Even Astro Bot, which was praised by critics, only sold a little over 1 million copies in its first month. That's not going to float the boat at PlayStation. It needs its games to sell, 10 to 15 million copies, particularly the ones that take 5 to 7 years to make, which is not the case with Astro Bot. But still, you understand what I'm trying to say. So I just feel like PlayStation right now is in this weird middle ground. And I think generally, all publishers, game companies are going to be conservative right now because costs are skyrocketing, sales aren't skyrocketing with the cost necessarily, and I think what the publishers have looked at are these games as a service as a good way to keep revenue coming in while they're waiting for those huge tentpole releases. That's it for this week's edition of Ask Shane Anything. I asked you guys last week, I implored with you guys last week to go and ask questions and to bank a bunch of them so that I can just create these shows when I have the time to do them. And that is really going to become a thing here over the next like 3 or 4 weeks through Thanksgiving and the holidays. Like 3 of you went and posted a ton of questions, but I can't really use questions from the same person twice in a show. So we need more of you guys to pitch in and ask us questions for this show. Again, I really need some flexibility here over the next month or so to be able to do the show whenever I want and then just hold it and then publish it for you guys on the Thursday. So if you guys could go and do that, that would be awesome. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you could go to patreon.com/sifted and support us on a permanent basis with a pledge, that would be incredible. We really need the help and we'd really appreciate it. Or if you're just like, wow, Shane's, as Kari Taylor said, Shane busts his ass for us, and it's amazing how much content he creates and the stuff that he's doing in Sifted. If you want to reward me for that, that would be awesome. Go to donate.sifted.net. I know a lot of people would prefer to just give us like one chunk of money for the year instead of getting wrapped up in a subscription system somewhere. So if that's you, go to donate.sifted.net. We'd appreciate it very much. So thanks for everybody who pledges anything at patreon.com/sifted, but especially those of you who are pledging at $7 or more per month at that Ask Shane tier. You're the reason this show happens. Have yourself a great week, and we'll see you next Thursday.